Yo guys, my name's Nithu. I achieved 8 nines and 2 8s in my GCSEs and triple A stars in my A levels, and I also got beaten up as a kid. Yeah, you heard that right. That intro probably wasn't something you expected to hear today, right? You probably watched so many flipping content creators in the self-improvement space, and all they do is use these flashy edits, top 5 tips to not get burnt out, top 5 this, top 5 that. But I want to do something different, bro, and I think I just want to do something that's real, and I just want to be vulnerable with you guys. And I also want to speak to my fellow South Asians and also Asians out there, bro, who are so underrepresented just in the online community in general. And, I just want to share my experiences so that hopefully a person who's going through what I've been through can sort of relate to that and just take away what I did to get out of, being burnt out and just sort of how to get out of a rut. But yeah, where do I even begin? Bro, I was very academically gifted growing up. At least I'd like to think so. I basically got away with just like no revision at all. And I was super proud of it because I just saw myself as smarter than all the other kids in my class. And little did I know, like, the consequences that would have later on in life because I put so little effort back then. But basically, this reminds me of the time when we had to do this maths topic test back in primary school. And I remember I got 49 out of 50, I'm pretty sure. I think I was in like year 3 and I was super happy with the score. And I remember one of my other friends, he got 50 out of 50. And so we were on our way back home and my mum overheard one of the other kids bragging, which was my friend, that he got 50 out of 50 on this TLP test. And for some reason, like, she was really happy when I told her that I got 49 out of 50, right? And then she got super disappointed and she was like, why didn't you get 50 as well? Bro, literally everyone else in the class, they got like 20, 30. And that definitely just changed my perception on a lot of things, especially in terms of the way I viewed academics. Academics for me was just all about gaining my parents' approval, bro. Obviously, it wasn't a very healthy relationship, which I had with them because of that. And that sort of experience, it bled into my high school years as well, where, I was always like trying to aim for the top marks for my parents' approval because my parents' expectations, they shaped a lot of my childhood, I will say. It was always about me seeking this external validation. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate as well. But yeah, because of the fact that I had such an unhealthy relationship with my parents, it meant that I had also a very unhealthy relationship with myself because my whole life I'd always been working for someone else's approval and not necessarily for my own fulfillment and my own enjoyment, right? And I remember first year of uni, bro, it was the first time I gained independence from my parents. And it was literally a breath of fresh air. I felt like I didn't have to, ask to go out. I remember back in high school, bro, I could barely go out with my friends. They'd literally be like, you have to come home by this time. You have to come home by 3:30. They're always suspicious of me just hanging out with friends. And definitely their parenting style. Don't get me wrong, I love my parents, but their parenting style was very helicoptery in that sense. So most of my childhood was just wasted because of academics, and I didn't really get to enjoy many of the things that children do, just play outside and stuff like that. I remember the first time I fell into a rut. So before this, I was very consistent. I was very much getting started into self-improvement. I was going on morning runs. I was reading books in the morning. I was doing all my work, and I was also building a business on the side as well. But I remember the first time I got into a proper rut, it took me a whole year, bro, to get out of that rut, which is crazy because, before that I hadn't really experienced that big of a rut before. And I remember there was this one morning I woke up, I think it was midway through first year, and I really wasn't feeling good about myself. I was feeling very, very just S-word about myself, and I couldn't even bring myself to do anything. I literally rotted in bed until it was 6, 7 p.m. 6, 7. But that was so flipping detrimental to me because I remember that day, bro, I literally ate nothing. I woke up so groggy. I was just sleeping, bro. Honestly, I was sleeping. I woke up, I scrolled on Insta and then went back to sleeping. And then I had enough because I was so hungry, and then I went out to the kitchen at 6 p.m. and that's when I had technically my breakfast. But yeah, it was a very, very critical period of my life because this was also the time when I got exposed to the red pill space. I got exposed to Andrew Tate, and sort of influences within the sort of manosphere. And that's when this sort of mentality took over me, right? Depression is real. You got to work as hard as possible and you can't take any breaks. You got to take cold showers in the morning. You got to go running. You got to do this at this specific time. You got to block out each hour of your day. And I thought it was actually helping me at the moment, because for at least like 3 or 4 days, I felt way more productive. I was actually doing the work that I wanted to do. But little did I know, like, this was just the placebo effect taking place. And the reality is, bro, like, obviously I didn't know this back then, but like, you know, this mentality was sort of just consuming me. I started isolating myself from everyone. I thought I was better than everyone. Like, I didn't have time to hang out with my friends. And that's the sort of the mentality that I had because of me listening to influencers like Andrew Tate. And bear in mind, this literally lasted for a year, bro. So for a whole year, I literally pretty much self-isolated. I think the only time I came out was to like have food. And then I go back into my room and just do work. And I'm going to be completely honest here. The work that I was doing, although it felt productive, which was like watching podcasts or watching videos on how to be better, how to become a better man, I wasn't really working towards my goals. Like, I was going to the gym every day because that was something that all the influencers emphasized. And I was also like doing all the little self-improvement sort of tasks that they tell you to do, like cold showers, go on morning runs. But like the actual work which I need to do, which was like academic and actually working on my side hustles, I just sort of sidelined, bro. And I was like, I can do that tomorrow. But I was just sort of treating the symptom rather than the actual cause, which was the sort of trauma that I went through during my childhood, which I hadn't fully resolved yet. And I'm still in the process of internalizing that trauma and forgiving my parents. Like, I love my parents so much, but you know, obviously the way they treated me during my childhood, I still have so many more stories to tell, but it definitely had an impact on me. And I just wanted to talk about it because I know a lot of you guys will probably be going through a similar experience to me. But yeah, basically, it was just me like going through constant waves of, you know, being productive for a few days, then going back in a rut, and then being productive, going back in a rut. And up until now, I've still been going through that cycle. But ever since I met my girlfriend, like, she's reintroduced balance into my life. Before I met her, I always had this mentality that I had to work hard and like, you know, constantly be the best version of myself. She's like opened my eyes to a whole new way of living. And I'm really grateful for her, because without her, I wouldn't be, you know, like playing football on the weekends, or just like, you know, just spending quality time with her, whether it be like going to the shopping mall or, you know, just going out to random cafes. I think we all need that balance in our lives, and our lives shouldn't just constantly revolve around work. Because of her, and by me reintroducing that balance into my life, I started to build a much more healthier self-perception of myself, and I started to see myself as my best friend, which sounds sort of odd to say, but it actually works. Like, you have to start seeing yourself as your best friend, bro. And that really helped me a lot, because before that, it was almost like, you know, I was forcing myself to do the work. I was constantly lashing myself. I literally punished myself, bro, if I didn't do the work. I'd literally like do 30 push-ups if I didn't do like 30 minutes of work. Like, it was that bad. And because I reintroduced that balance into my life, and just having a life outside work in general, that helped me to build a much more healthier relationship with myself. And that's the sort of problem I have with many of the self-improvement content creators nowadays, in that they just produce content which is very generic. And like, we as South Asians and many Asians, we go through so much trauma, and like no one really speaks about it, which is why I wanted to record this video and like be someone who can share the experiences, so hopefully you can just avoid the pitfalls that many students and young teenagers face. So if there's anything you're going to take away from this video, it's definitely just stay away from this 24/7 discipline sort of mentality, and like definitely reintroduce balance to your life, bro. And I'm not saying you don't have to work hard, but you know, the cliche saying is very true as well. Like, you have to work smart as well. You shouldn't devote your whole life to work, because like, imagine you're 80, bro, and you look back at your life and all you've done is work, and you didn't really enjoy, you know, your life with your friends, with your family. You need to start having real conversations with people and sort of develop that confidence within yourself that you're this new person who can do the work but can also have a life outside it. So that's my experience on being a former academically gifted kid and just being burnt out. And don't get me wrong, I'm still in the process of like rebuilding myself. I still do go into ruts, but because I have a much healthier perception of myself, I'm able to get out of those ruts much quicker. But yeah, I just wanted to share my experience so that hopefully at least one person gets some value out of it, and like you can just relate to my experiences. And if you watch to the end of the video, bro, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe, because like I'm just trying to build this community of like-minded people, you know, who've been through similar experiences, and I just want to build a very supportive community that, you know, helps each other out. But yeah, until next time, peace out.